Hey everybody, this is 7 Days to Die, part 6. We are going to be doing some base upgrades among a few other things. I did take some time, and after the last blood moon, fixed everything up, did upgrade the base a little bit to all wood from building blocks, and in the back I did add on an area for planting as well as water harvesting so that basically we don't die of starvation again. So that's where we are currently. I also took some time and upgraded the front of the horde base with cobblestone, make it a little stronger so that the next blood moon we don't have to worry about the zombies breaking down our horde base. So this is what it looks like from the front, from where the zombies come up. As you can see, the stairs are now all cobblestone. I did finish that all the way around, and will eventually uh, have the entire horde base as well as the workshop built out of cobblestone, uh, partly for the aesthetic, but also so that if we do end up getting a mini horde during the day, the zombies won't be knocking down any of our buildings. I did also plant a whole bunch of trees in the back. As you can see, they're growing. I have quite the hedge. And also finished the seventh mission for the trader. And on the seventh mission, you get a bonus reward. One of the rewards is a bicycle. That's the one I always take because it's the one I always need. Most of the rest of the stuff is pretty lackluster, but the bicycle is kind of the important part. So now we have a bicycle, so we can actually see. Not only can we see ourselves in third person, but also we can deal with some of the things that are a bit farther away, like the loot drops, the airdrops. So since there's one relatively close, we're going to take a couple of minutes and we're going to go get that one, pick that up, and then we'll head back and continue upgrading the base. Now, one of the things I did was I did a little bit of exploring, and up in this area here, there is desert. So, one of the things we need out of the desert is oil shale to make gasoline, and so we will have a consistent source so that once we do start making motorized tools and vehicles, because I'm actually partial to the motorcycle, um, we'll have a steady source of materials to make fuel once we get our chemistry bench set up. Um, the chemistry bench is quite a ways down the road, so it's going to be a little while, so we don't need to be in a huge rush, but it's just one less thing to have to worry about later on, one less thing to have to find. So that's the reason why I was a little bit excited about finding that. As a matter of fact, here it is, right here. This is our desert biome. We'll be able to get oil shale from here, and our lives will be just a little bit easier. As you can see, we have a little bit of rain going on, which reduces our visibility and is kind of annoying, but that's really about it. It really doesn't do much of anything else. It doesn't hurt any of our fires or anything like that. One of the other things that I did as well is I went ahead and set up another fireplace. Good, we got ourselves a hat. Looks like it's pretty much the same. This one gives a 2% loot bonus, and the nerd goggles give a 2% XP gain. 2% isn't much, so I think I'd rather have the loot bonus personally. So I'm gonna switch that out. Not to mention the fact that the nerd set is heavy armor, so it does drain your stamina substantially faster than if you're wearing something a bit lighter. I like to be able to move around a lot, especially since I use melee weapons pretty often. So we're going to stick with the lighter armor for now. I am actually partial to the assassin set for the hide bonus and for the extra damage, but once we get the workbench set up and a few other components, then we'll worry about starting to make armor. Currently, right now, if we go and take a look, I'm only at 5 out of 100 for armor, so I can only make primitive armor. So it's going to be a little while before we can start to really make the good stuff. So in the meantime, we'll keep collecting up components, hopefully find the skill books that we need, and start making some better stuff. For now, it's not really a problem, and we do find level 1 armor in loot boxes. So if we're just looking for lower level equipment, we can randomly get that stuff, but it is random and it is level 1, so it's not exactly ideal. So that's basically where we're at currently. I did move the water purifier. So I retasked our little platform here where the dew collector was before, and turned it into this spot for the bike. Eventually, once we get a motorcycle, we'll build ourselves a garage, because why not? I mean, 50% of this game is building cool stuff. The other 50% is survival. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, bear in mind that the water will stack, I believe, up to 30, but the tea and the goldenrod tea and the chrysanthemum tea, which is the red tea, will only stack to 10. It's not necessarily a disadvantage because while water gives you 20, the red tea and the chrysanthemum will give you 24, and then of course the yucca will give you 32. So it only gets better as you go along. Right, now, what I was planning on doing earlier is I'm going to build myself another forge. I like to have two. I like to have one for iron and then one for lead and brass, so that I can have both going at once. The disadvantage is it generates more heat. So keep that in mind. And sorry, bear with me for a sec here. It generates more heat when you have both of them running at once. So if you're not ready for zombie encounters, you may want to stick to one. But I happen to prefer two and am familiar with the way the game works. So the mechanics are not an issue for me. So I like to have two. And I did also build the workbench. I did get enough skill books to actually be able to build the workbench. So we're going to actually set up the workbench. I think we're going to put the workbench here. And then we're going to place the other forge here, next to our first one. The downside is the fact that you're now going to be using twice the amount of fuel and twice the amount of clay soil, because one of the things that's required to smelt things like iron is you have to have clay soil. So we're going to get that started. Dump a whole bunch of brass into our forge. We have to melt the material down first, and then once it's actually in the forge, and this is part of the reason why we have two, is because all of the material stays in the forge until you're ready to use it. You have to basically load it into the forge, let it melt down, and then it stays in there until you're actually ready to use it to make stuff with. I haven't found a real good use for brass for anything but bullet casings, but considering the fact that bullets become important later on in the game, it's definitely something you want to have. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to stay organized here. Now, this is herbal antibiotics. Antibiotics come in basically three forms. They come in the form of honey, which gives you a 5% to your infection, which basically means it reduces your infection by 5%. So it reduces it by a small amount, though not an insignificant amount. The herbal antibiotics reduce the infection by 10%. And the nice thing about the herbal antibiotics is they're relatively easy to make. And then you have regular antibiotics, which cure infection at 25%. So if you're really in dire straits, you can use the regular antibiotics. I try to keep those for later on. So I'm going to take and drop that in there, and I'm going to keep this one down here. So we're going to just basically put a few things away. We do have some murky water. We don't particularly need to make the drinking water right now because we do have enough for the time being. So I'm going to stash that in a storage box so that we have it for later on. I am making some red tea. I like the red tea because of the 15% to digestion, which basically means you don't use as much food and water. So that can work to your advantage. I am going to use one of these right now because I am a little thirsty. I'm going to use two. So that is where we at for the time. Where we are at for the time being. Now, one of the things that we can make now that we've gotten this far is we can make our drawbridge. We're going to make now. There is a power drawbridge, but I don't. That one's kind of unnecessary, at least as far as I'm concerned. It is. So we're going to set up to track the manufacturing of the drawbridge. And what that does is it puts the components that you need to make it up top, and it tracks what you have in your inventory already. So we need 20 springs. We'll have to make some forged iron, and we need 20 mechanical parts. So we have two of the four things that we need. Go over to the forge, and we'll set up to make 20 forged iron. I think I'm going to make 70 because we'll need more later. So we're going to start making it. Since it does take a while to make forged iron, as you can see, we want to have a supply. The only other thing we need that we don't have is a little bit of wood, which we'll go out here. We'll chop down a tree or two. I hear some zombies in the background there. Enough for the time being. So now the only thing we're waiting for at the moment is the forged iron. Now, you don't need anything additional to make iron. When you get to the point where you want to make forged steel, which most of the higher end tools and equipment require forged steel, we will need a crucible. Crucibles are expensive. You can make them, but finding the blueprint to make a crucible can sometimes be a little difficult. It's strictly randomly generated. So if you're lucky and you get one right away, great. I haven't been that lucky yet, so haven't been able to make one just yet. And crucibles are made on the go. I'm doing that here and see that the recipe is still locked because I do not have the recipe. And it looks like they added the workstation, which is good, but it's 75. It's the last thing you get when you do workstations. So unfortunately, usually by the time you get 75 books, you've either found the recipe or bought it. Excuse me. These guys. Realize that guy would got back up. There we go. Now, this is a feral zombie. Feral zombies tend to run faster and they attack a little bit faster. And they tend to be a bit more aggressive. As you can see, I did take some damage. I do have an abrasion. So see, it shows treated abrasion. So when you use a bandage, especially a first aid bandage, which heals you as well as stopping bleeding, um, what it will do is it will reduce the amount of time that the abrasion affects you. And if we go to treated abrasion, it shows that your health is lowered. So it lowers your health a bit and just generally makes your life just a little bit more difficult. So we want to try to prevent that. And now that we've finished our making our tea, we're going to go ahead and turn off the fire. Okay. So we now have all of the components that we need to make our drawbridge. So we're going to go over to the workbench. Since we set the recipe to be tracked, it's going to be at the top of the list, which just makes it a little bit easier to find. It takes about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to make the drawbridge. In the meantime, I did put down a couple of farm plots. I have some yucca seeds and some potatoes. So we'll give that a little bit of time, and eventually we'll be able to start harvesting fruits and vegetables to make food with. So we won't have to eat just bacon and eggs. We'll have other things as well. So as soon as the drawbridge is done, we'll be able to get rid of this. I use the drawbridge because during Blood Moon, I want to be able to put the drawbridge up and eliminate the possibility of the zombies trying to use my workshop as a way to get to me. So I like the drawbridge for that because I can just put the drawbridge up and the zombies don't see that as a way to get to where you're at. And so they'll be forced to come up and use your little platform here during Blood Moon. It's also good if you get a mini horde. It just basically allows you to control the flow and you can handle large groups of zombies much easier. I did go ahead and finish off the roof and the buildings. I went from building blocks. The only building blocks we have left are our little makeshift bridge here, because in a couple of minutes we're going to be eliminating this bridge once we get our drawbridge built, and we're going to be putting the drawbridge into place. So that's where we're at currently. We're just kind of running out the clock, waiting for the rest of the stuff to be built so that we can get started. We're almost done. We got 45. So, as was mentioned during the Blood Moon, I did set up some wooden spike traps because I believe in this next Blood Moon on day 14, we will start to get vultures. They're flying creatures. They won't be coming up to our little window. They'll be coming up here, and the reason these bars are here, actually the railing is here, is so that we can shoot through it and kill the vultures on the roof. The vultures will also damage themselves on the spikes, and given enough time, they will kill themselves. The downside is the spikes take damage when the zombies damage themselves on the spikes. So we're not going to be going up there to do repairs. So it's just one extra deterrent and a little more damage, and it makes our lives just a little bit easier. So we're just waiting for everything to be finished. Sorry, I guess I could have managed my time a little bit better. But we're almost there. Now, keep in mind, there are different types of food. Most food will just basically give you lower your hunger bar. Things like stews will also give you water as well, so it kind of does double duty for that. And it sounds like our drawbridge is done, so we're going to drop that into our hotbar. We'll select it, and hopefully I guessed correctly, and yeah, it looks like I did. We'll be able to put it in place. Now, one of the things that we're going to have to do, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm going to have to eliminate this first row. I want to put the drawbridge on this side, on the workshop side. So what we're going to do is we're going to knock out these blocks right here. Now I could have left these as building blocks, but I didn't. So we'll take a minute and we'll knock these out. This is one of our many modifications that we'll probably be doing over the course of this game, this playthrough. Okay, get a little bit closer. I had a feeling this might be the case, so I was sort of prepared for this eventuality. All right, so now, there we go. And now we have our drawbridge, and we did guess correctly on the distance. So now, during Blood Moon, we can actually put this drawbridge up. And I do hear some friends coming down, so let's have a look-see and see where they're at. Ah, there he is. And where he thinks he's going. We'll take him out. And then we'll pick up our last two building blocks. So now, during normal times, we have our drawbridge to go across so that we can go between the horde base and the workshop. Now I did put quite a few ladders up so that we can approach from several different directions and still have access to both. This is just convenience. So now that we have that done, we'll go down here, grab our bicycle, and we'll go for a quick ride. We're going to go pick that airdrop up, which is quite a ways away, but since we have the bicycle now, it's much less of a problem than it was before. Now, if you look in the lower right-hand corner down here, you will see a percentage. That is how 100% means the bicycle is completely repaired. And this goes for all vehicles, not just the bicycle, but the motorcycle and the 4x4 as well. When it gets down to 0, it will no longer, it'll still move really slow like you're crawling, but that's pretty much it. So you want to make sure to keep repair kits and keep your vehicles repaired. We're not quite at that point yet since we just got the bicycle. So we're not in bad shape for the time being. And bear in mind as well, while we're on the subject of vehicles, that all vehicles have their own inventory. The inventory on the vehicles is not it's not doesn't affect your encumbrance like it does if you have it in your regular inventory. The vehicles will not move slower if their inventory slots are full. So it is to your advantage if you're overloaded to stop, jump off your vehicle, and stow your extra equipment in your vehicle rather than on your person to allow you to move faster. The only downside of storing items on your vehicle is if I get into an area and don't want to leave my bicycle behind, I can actually pick it up. If there's equipment in the inventory, you will not be able to pick up your vehicle. And that also goes for the motorcycle and the 4x4 as well. All right, so here's our supply crate. Got ourselves a pipe pistol, some skill books, and another melee mod because I don't have enough of those already. Yeah, I picked up about 4 of those so far. But skill books are the important thing. The pipe pistol, honestly, I really don't care about. So that's where we're at currently. I could stop and loot everything along the way, but for now, I just wanted to show you guys where the drops were. I don't want to bore you with just walking around and picking a whole bunch of things up. Um, but I did want to show you that we have upgraded the base. We have upgraded some of the equipment at the base, and we're at the point now where food and drink are much less of a problem than they were previously. Partly because of good planning, and also partly because I played the game for quite a while and I know where things are. So we will head back to base. We'll drop off our stuff, and that should be it for the time being. I'll probably do a few more improvements to the base, collect up some cobblestone so I can start um, completing the upgrade of all of the building blocks in the base to cobblestone, because that will become important later on. Uh, the areas that are not the horde base, I generally don't upgrade those past cobblestone because there's no reason to. I may eventually, if I have a whole bunch left over, I may eventually upgrade them to concrete. You can see that we've planted quite a few trees along here, and there's 2 rows. There were about 85 trees. Um, Visibility is not really an issue, and I'll probably knock all these down before the next blood moon. Just simply because the zombies, if they see them as an obstacle, they'll knock them down, and then you lose the wood. And the whole point of putting them up is so that you have more wood. That way, we can build our garage later on, which will most likely be, oh, I don't know, probably right here. But we'll figure that out as we go along. So that's it for now. That's how far we've gotten so far. I'll try to keep you guys updated, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.